Despite Amazon's best efforts to change the narrative surrounding this show, nearly everybody has been forced to admit that The Lord of the Rings of Power on Amazon Prime was a complete disaster, that fans rejected it, that not only was the writing terrible, not only was the casting laughable, not only was the focus entirely on identity politics and social justice and virtue signaling ahead of actually staying true to Tolkien's source material, but even with all that, even with $1 billion show, it has been a complete failure. The fans said it from the beginning. We saw this very stark difference between what the critics were saying about Rings of Power and what the audience was saying. But despite this high critic score, they got some bad news the other day. Rings of Power has 0 nominations at this year's Golden Globes. They have been completely and totally snubbed, and rightfully so. Even this article recognizes that. It's no secret that the Rings of Power has been one of the most divisive series of 2022. Although critics have lauded this series, fans online have ridiculed Rings of Power for its absurd action sequences, poor writing, and numerous contradictions to J.R.R. Tolkien's source material. So what is Amazon going to do? What are they going to do to fix it in season 2? Well, we just got some news today. Prime Video announces an all-female directing team for The Lord of the Rings of Power Season 2. That'll fix it, won't it? We're just gonna, regardless of anyone's talent level, anything like that, we're just gonna focus on more diversity. We're gonna focus on an all-female directorial team. That's all we care about. That's all we want people to know, how progressive we are here at Amazon. It didn't work the first season. Something tells me it's not going to work in this second season either. Amazon Studios and Prime Video announced an all-female directing team for the upcoming second season of The Lord of the Rings of Power. In a press release, Amazon Studios announced that Charlotte Branstrom would return to the show alongside Sanaa Hamri and Louise Hooper. Branstrom directed episodes 6 and 7 from the first season, called Udun and the Eye. If you recall, the 6th episode was the nonsensical eruption of Mount Doom, the illogical chase scene, and the battle sequences showing Numenorians routing Adar's orcs. The 7th episode was a slow and meandering one that followed the survivors of the eruption. That was one of the worst episodes of an 8-episode disaster. Branstrom other credits include all these things: Jupiter's Legacy on Netflix, The Witcher, maybe one of those people that also hates the source material for The Witcher, and Away. She also previously directed some episodes of Prime Video's Man in the High Castle, Outlander, and Counterparts. And here's some of the other female directors' credits. This one, Hamri, The Wheel of Time, another woke catastrophic failure from Amazon Prime Video. I wonder if we're sensing a pattern here with these people. Working on The Witcher, where Henry Cavill just left because the people don't respect the source material. The Wheel of Time, which was a failure. The Rings of Power, which was a failure, all because they didn't respect the source material. And this other person did work on The Witcher as well. Look at this. The press release also notes she received a BAFTA nomination for directing Our Gay Wedding, the musical. Can't wait. In the second season, Branstrom will be directing 4 episodes, will serve as co-executive producer. Hamri and Hooper will both be directing 2 episodes each. Season 1 directors J.A. Bayona and Wayne Yip will not be returning for a second season. Not many details have been revealed what the second season will feature, but Patrick McKay, J.D. Payne did say that Sauron will be playing a major role. Oh, can't wait for that. More desecration of Tolkien's lore. That's exactly what so many people are looking forward to. The reality is, nearly everything about Rings of Power has been bad. The biggest problem are the people who wrote this story, no doubt. There's not a director in the world that could do anything with the type of material that they were handed from the writing room, with the dialogue, with the plot that went nowhere at times. 8 episodes, and it went nowhere for some of these characters. It was bad. It was cringe CW level of plot development and dialogue, and it's hard to believe that this show, again, $1 billion for 2 seasons, but $700 million were spent on the first season alone. And it's hard to imagine that that show cost that much money, especially when you have some out there like House of the Dragon that dominated Rings of Power, completely and totally dominated it because it had comparable streaming numbers, and it was also simulcast on HBO on linear television at the same time. And that cost a fraction of what Rings of Power cost. They needed this thing to be a massive global phenomenon. That's what they said. They came out with some bullshit numbers after being forced to say something. The reality is, we've seen some of these numbers. We've seen that audience drop off. We've seen how bad it is from the official Nielsen ratings. This is not good news for Rings of Power. And their solution to it being hated by the fans, to being hated even by their own peers for the Golden Globe nominations, the solution? Let's double down on the female representation in the director's seat. Something tells me that's not going to help at all. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching, everyone. And a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.